And as always, we're going to be looking for accurate context, good risk management, and always exercising good patience.
Anytime you're talking about fundamentals in a market and direction, fundamentals take a little bit of time to play out.
We got crude oil today, kind of trading yesterday's value area really nicely, low to high.
That's what we're here for, is to put ourselves in the best success. A trading routine does that, builds that habit, lets you know what to work on, what to reflect on, and what to improve on the next day.
Good morning, friends and fellow traders. Welcome to the Market Forecast for Wednesday, February the 9th. I'm John. Thanks for trusting me with your time. As always, we are seeking good, accurate context, good risk management, and patience in these markets. If you're already in the markets, hopefully things are heading your way. As far as economic numbers this morning, nothing all that impactful as far as economic numbers are concerned. 9:30, the EIA Petroleum status report is due out. There are a couple of talking Feds throughout the day today. And at noon central, the 10-year note auction begins. U.S. stocks are set to open the day higher as pandemic-related restrictions seem to be lifted all over the place. It's a good thing. We've got some notable earnings out this morning and this afternoon. GlaxoSmithKline already out this morning, CME Group out this morning, and CVS. After the close, we have Disney, Uber, and Motorola, just to name a few. Apparently, the diplomatic blitz that's been going on in Russia and Ukraine has maybe tempered some of the tensions, and we're all, I'm sure, very hopeful for that. I keep praying for peaceful outcome from that. Crude prices have remained soft a little bit this morning, even though OPEC Plus is struggling to meet its production quotas. The API last night announced a 2 million barrel draw in crude stocks here in the U.S. However, the EIA is expecting a 369,000 barrel boost. Not a very big boost. So, of course, we'll be watching and trading what we see in that market. As always, make sure you like, share, comment, question, feedback, and heckling are always welcome. Subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can get notifications when we do go live. Speaking of going live, we're going to be having the Q&A with our founder, Michael Patak. Dan is going to be with him for that Q&A at 3 o'clock today, so there will not be a recap today, but make sure right on this channel, this YouTube channel, you'll be able to ask questions directly to our founder, Michael Patak. So that's a big event today. Checking the VIX, the dollar index, and the 10-year yield this morning. VIX down 4% as, of course, our equities leak to the upside. Can be some interesting things we're going to see on the charts here this morning. Dollar index down slightly off its close from yesterday. 95.47 in the 10-year yield. Off slightly from its high yesterday, its close at 1.93%. Not only is there the Q&A with the founder today, we also have group coaching. I just put the link into the chat for you to go ahead and register for that. That's at 1 o'clock today, and it will be at 1 o'clock sharp, I promise. And I got to say good morning to everybody. We have Robert Kennedy with us this morning, Manuel Caesar, Theo, good morning, Terry King, Isaac, Shaw, good to see you, Brian, Miguel, Scott saw and he conquered, Dave Francis, Taurus, Alfred, good morning, Kevin, Vince, good morning. Hopefully the fish are biting and not biting us. Rush, good morning. Galen, Jeff, Kurt, Kirill, good morning. Ryan, Equanimous is going to be buying all the 37 billion of 10-year notes. Equanimous, I want to party with you, cowboy. Ronald, good morning. Jay, buenos dias. Janus, Three Lions Insight. George, Charles, Alessandro, good morning. Good morning, my friend Ray. Jerry is awake. Hopefully, John is too. Robert, good morning, John. And everyone, my premium funded account went live yesterday. Wish me patience and successful trading. Of course, we are looking forward to your success. All of you. Robert, just stay cool. Dance with the one you brung. Luis, good morning. Chris, Lacey, good morning. Yeah, she's looking out the window. We're looking for dogs walking by. We may hear from her at some point today. Fanus, Frederico, Back to the Future. Nice CL dip to buy here. Yeah, maybe, right? Good morning from the Philippines. Sarah, thank you for the sunrise. It's always good to see your shiny, happy face. Dead letter opener. Good day. Andres, George Lucas, business as usual. Then I guess it's all-time highs for the equity in the summer on Season 2 of the NASDAQ and the S&P. As the market turns, our heroes, NASDAQ and ES. Columbus, good morning. Jeffrey Crockett, Taurus Trader. And Contruve. Good morning. Maybe a couple of new names there. Welcome to the Market Forecast. We're glad you're here. We're looking forward to your success. Again, check out the group coaching. I do have a couple of good questions from Fred. Hopefully he's going to be able to join us. And we're going to take a look at the charts here. Let me get things all set up for us so we start in the right spot here. Trading Research, good morning. Think I'm getting through this cold. Seems to be hanging on forever, but let's jump in to the charts. All right, so looking here at the daily and the E-mini S&Ps, we've been watching the fact that we've been kind of building what looked like a bull flag, and it seems to be reacting as one now. The breakout yesterday was more through attrition than aggression, and that was kind of proven true by the lack of open interest increase. We talked about this yesterday on the recap. I was going to be very interested to see if we brought in new business in this move to the upside here, which we really didn't. We lost open interest, 12,000 in open interest. Volume wasn't that great. So I'm not all that impressed by the breakout of this, but I am a little bit impressed now by the continuation in the overnight. We've been kind of range bound here. Are we breaking out of that range bound activity? It looks like that on the 30-minute chart. We're going to see that very shortly. Overnight buyers have been taking note of, I think, the breakout of the bull flag. We're going to be monitoring for continuation and keeping in mind that we have some important inflationary numbers due out tomorrow in the CPI. That'll be at 7:30 Central tomorrow. Here's the 30-minute chart. So the extremes of balance that we've been looking at here are basically up here and down here. Well, we spanned all of them yesterday pretty much. Settlement is here at 45.1250. We've got our market really holding some overnight longs here. We're going to be opening with a gap, and we're going to be opening outside of this 4-day range that we're in here. Well, what does that tell us? It says if we're in balance, we fade the extremes of balance. When we break out of balance and there's a substantial acceptance of it, we go with that. So when we open the regular trading hour market today at 8:30, we're going to be watching to see if we have longer time frame traders. What's going to happen here? Are we going to have our overnight inventory, our overnight weaker hands longs push back, maybe get a little bit nervous that they're not going to see the longer time frame come in and start buying up here? That could offer us an opportunity for a cheaper entry. Or are we going to see buyers come in and push this market higher right off the bat? So a lot of that is just going to depend on what our regular trading hour traders are deciding to do as we open up. it's always a challenge. Opening range trades, I hate to say it, might be something to look at today if they're small enough. They've been very, very vicious and nasty in the S&Ps for the recent memory. But this is a different situation now, and that different situation may create another opportunity, a different opportunity that we haven't seen lately. So, I'm going to be, of course, cautious. I'm going to be looking to manage risk. If the opening range is too large, then I'm going to wait for the market to come back inside of it to try and get into it. But again, yesterday we didn't see what we were looking for on the kind of attrition outside of our bull flag or our Daniel or channel, as we like to call it, the Daniel. But if it's a breakout above balance, we have to go with it. If as long as we find acceptance is going to be in time, volume, momentum, participation. Everything is a subjective term here. There's no right answer for everything. All right, so let's see if we can take a look at the crude oil now. All right. So upside structure still remains. Yesterday, we had a little higher volume and an increase in open interest off the high here. So we brought in some sellers. We're evening out inventory up here in that regard. We know there's a whole bunch of longs in this market. We just got a whole bunch of new sellers in yesterday. The market seems to be hanging around now, just kind of waiting for a bus. What it's waiting for is new information. There's a lot of uncertainty in the world as to the fundamentals of crude oil. We see that the pandemic, a lot of easing as far as restrictions in the pandemic. Is that negative for pricing, or is that going to end up being positive? There's a lot of good questions here. OPEC has been struggling to meet their quota. How are we lower? How does that happen? Okay, so we had some pretty good volume and some open interest off that high. Upside structure remains the same, but is it at risk? I don't see it as being at risk until we get down below weekly kickoff low. So that's a pretty substantial move. Weekly kickoff low is 86.30. I mean, we're talking about a $3 move. How about the 30-minute chart? What does it tell us? It doesn't tell us much. There's not a lot of help here. We still have our island top here. We still have that gap that remains. We still have this area of balance down here, which we keep finding support in that area. So its settlement is right where we are right now. Settlement's 89.36. 89.36 is last. The market's just open, or it's ready to open here in about a minute and a half. Let's take a bigger look at this. Let's look from a little bit further away. When we were coming up to this, we were saying we need a pullback or we need an area of consolidation with which to even inventory. If we did even inventory, we got some long stuck up here. We've got our island top, which is a significant and potentially powerful reversal signal. And now we've got the market kind of hanging around in here. What does it tell us for the opening? It tells us that we're opening in range. We're opening in value. We're opening in an area that the market has already accepted. Do we need to get busy early today? I'm going with probably not. The market is basically right in the value area from yesterday. We know that there's information coming out as the day goes on today, so I'm going to sit back on my laurels here and hope that I don't miss something in an opening range trade. But the likelihood of it is relatively small because the perception of value hasn't changed from yesterday through the overnight through today. We have no overnight inventory. We're opening right at settlement. I don't see any reason to get too aggressive here. Here's the opening range. 10 ticks so far. There's no confidence here. Alessandro, I'm going to address your question right now, since we're in the opening range in the crude oil. The opening range to me is the first minute of a regular trading hour trade in any product. In crude oil, it's from 8 to 8:01 Central Time. Okay, in equities like the S&Ps, it's 8:30 to 8:31. Now that's why I have this 1 minute chart here that points out the first minute or the opening range. So the way I would handle this, if I were trading this, is once the opening range is established, I put a stop in to get short below it, and I'll stop in to get long above it. Whichever one is executed, my stop's already in. So if the opening range ends up being the high of the session today and I take that short, there's we don't know how far this market can go lower. If the market breaks out above the opening range first and I take a long and this opening range remains the low of the session, there's no telling as to how far the market can go in that direction either. But because of the context of the marketplace right now, looking back to the 30-minute chart, in range, in value, at settlement, no overnight inventory, knowing we have information coming later on in the session, I'm not going to take that trade. The market is in balance. I don't see that there's a high probability of it being successful. All right. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ now. All right. Me and my nasal. All right. Well, the NASDAQ, I mean, it's almost the same situation here as the ES. In my notes here, it just says see the ES. No new buyers. We lost 5,000 in open interest on an attrition breakout of the bull flag, the bull flag. Volume and open interest don't impress. This may be a change here. We're going to monitor for continuation. We're breaking out of the 4-day range that we've been in. And let's take a look at the 30. 1, 2, 3, 4. Broke out of the bull flag through attrition, didn't bring in buyers. Do we bring in buyers this morning? We've got overnight longs here. We've got a gap. We're going to break out on the open from this area of balance here. Do we get continuation or do we pull back and look for a better trade location at the highs of this area of balance? The rules are you go with breakouts from balance. So now we've got two nuances, a breakout of a bull flag through attrition and now an opening breakout above an area of balance. Nothing has to happen, and usually they're going to find ways to shake you out before it happens. So be careful and make sure you continue to manage risk. It may give us a nice pullback with which to buy. Gold. All right, finally, we get some new money coming in. We added 3,700 in open interest after almost 2 weeks of open interest just getting crushed. Finally, we bring in some new business. Are we now getting too long to continue? Look at where we just traded to. 1834 is weekly kickoff high. We got within 3 ticks of it here after the regular trading hour open. Are we getting too long? Nice little spot there for us to take that opening range. That weekly kickoff level for a short. Heck, we're 60 ticks into it already. So that's going to remain part of our plan for the day. Okay, we do have structure leading to the upside. Volume and open interest have not been impressive until yesterday. Now we've got a test of the weekly kickoff high right back into range and into value. Inside value is patience. The channel extremes still remain important. Okay, we've got our upside that we've been kind of bumping up against still remaining resistant. Weekly kickoff high in the same area, that's a lot of resistance. There's fish up here. We just missed them, but there's fish up here. See what happens next time we get up there. Into the euro. Excuse me. I apologize. I'm still fighting this thing. So 4th day in balance. Volume just getting crushed. Open interest lost 4,700 yesterday. Volume, open interest has been a bit of a roller coaster, up one day, down the next. But volume continues to get crushed at higher levels, up against an important inflection level like the weekly kickoff high. Potential for a bull flag and a breakout of it. Here's our bull flag through attrition last night. We broke out above it. Settlement 114.22. We have opened with a gap. If we can't close the gap relatively early, we trade in the direction of the gap. Very subjective, but if that's the case and we break out above this bull flag, weekly kickoff high is just above and waiting for us to test it. All right. The 10-year auction yesterday of the 3-year seems to have calmed things down a little bit. Volume and open interest shows short bets came into the market yesterday. We added 45,000 in new shorts yesterday, new open interest. Money coming in the short side, unable to really accept down below weekly kickoff low, supportive again last night. We got the 10-year and the 30-year auction yet to go. Here's the 30-minute chart. Here's our move settlement here, 126, 18 and a half ticks. We've got some longs in this market. We've opened with a gap from yesterday. We still have a gap from the previous day to yesterday. We're going to be putting in an island top here? Is that even possible? We're still holding some overnight longs here. We can't close this gap. We've got to go the other direction, but this is going to be a very difficult trade today because of the auctions. That would be amazing if we did put an island low in there. To the natural gas. So we got some continuation to the downside here. We lost 24,000 in open interest yesterday. Volume continues to get crushed on this auction to the downside. So the auction, by definition, is not bringing in volume, not bringing in open interest. It seems to be cutting things off. This is a very fascinating market at this time. Following the signs, it seems to be counterintuitive because price is just getting killed, no volume open interest in the middle of winter. We got to trade what we see. We have to manage risk. It's the only way to be looking at this. Give me 1 second, folks. Forgive me about that. Take a look at the 30-minute chart. Okay, we have our, let me smush it down here. We have our island top. We've been moving lower ever since. We've left some gaps. We've left some naked points of control above. We've got plenty of visuals down below with which to look at. We have overnight shorts. Those overnight shorts getting what they're looking for. They're seeing more selling coming into the marketplace as the market continues to push lower. It's a hard sell down here. It's going to be a tough trade. Hard to manage risk in this. But a fascinating market nonetheless. All right. All right, so we got a lot of comments and things going on here. I'm going to see what's going on. Dead letter opener, shorts taking profits before CPI, possibly. Trading research in the ES, I would think the odds are high. Longer time frame might bank windfall overnight profits, making the odds higher for an opening range trade to the downside. Just an idea. Kind of what I was thinking. You know, we've got to break out above balance and through that bull flag. Got to consider some considerable longs in the market here before the open. You may be right on that trading research, Alessandro. Hopefully that was a good example, Alessandro. You can always come to group coaching and we can discuss that more. Zodi just made it up 1,600 on ES overnight. Nice long, Zodi. And thanks for chiming in. Mark Lee Wire, the 123 watching only. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Sure looks like we have it almost completed the bearish Hogue 80% play on crude mentioned yesterday. Yes, keep Nebraska happy. Could remind me again on the criteria for a value acceptance trade opportunities may play in GC. Okay, so yeah, you're right, Ray. The market did open out of range as well as out of balance. So let's take a look at this, and we'll go through the rules for the value area special situation. So the gold opened out of range. It opened out of yesterday's range and out of yesterday's area of value. So what we're looking for is the market looked higher. It tested up to weekly kickoff high, but now it's come back into the value area from yesterday. Open with a gap, looked higher, now is resting inside value from yesterday. So, Ray, you're absolutely right. the value area special situation play, which Jim Dalton doesn't say he says he doesn't like it anymore, but it does offer some pretty decent opportunities, and we see it over and over. The market opens out of range and out of value and finds acceptance back inside the previous day's area of value. There's a probability that price could trade all the way to the other extreme of value at some point during that session. Now, we've seen some successful ones in the S&Ps. I think we saw a couple or one or two last week that played out almost to the tick. So again, the question is, when we open out of range, what establishes the fact that the market is reaccepting value? From when I first learned about this, the rule was basically 2 30-minute bars have to close back inside the value area before you really kind of trust acceptance. Sometimes the market doesn't give you that, though. Sometimes you'll have the market whip right to the low. So it's a tricky trade, but you're absolutely right, Ray. It is entirely possible. Yeah, natty insane trade. Yes, it is a tough one. Good morning, Rick. An island top, Equanimous Trading. An island top is when you have a day session that, I'm just going to try and show you. You get a chart that goes, up like this. And then there's one day that there's a gap higher. The gap is never filled. And then the following day, there's a gap lower. And the gap is never filled. That's an island top. It's a day that just stands out. There's a gap to it and a gap away from it. That can be a powerful reversal tool, a reversal signal. You can have a one-day island top, or you can have an island top that could be several days long. But the point is the day session gaps. You gap to it in the day session, you gap away from it in the day session, there's your island top. If you still have questions about that, group coaching, and ask again tomorrow, because we've got a couple of possible situations here. If volume was higher but the open interest was lower for NQ, would you think of that? What would you think of that relationship? Well, it depends on the situation. Yesterday, I was looking for an increase in open interest in the NASDAQ and the S&Ps because we broke out of that bull flag more through attrition than through aggression. Okay, so we didn't get the aggression that I was looking for in the added open interest, but we may be seeing that today. We have to see. All right, I got to get going here, folks. Thank you all for joining me. Thanks for all the likes. Thanks for hanging out with Old Hogue for a little while. Let's take our deep breath. Stay humble, grateful, and creative. Stay healthy. Stay good to each other. Stay good to yourself. I'll see you in the proverbial trading pit in about 5 minutes. Have a great trading day. Get out there and profit. Trade well. I will be with you for the group coaching, but again, no recap today because of the Q&A with founder Michael Patak. Hopefully we'll see you there.